All right, welcome. I'm Jen Ailey, and I'm here today to share a workshop called Grow Beyond Inconsistent Income, Effective Strategies to Create Consistent Income. And I'm really excited to share this because this is one of the biggest problems, challenges, pains in the butt that entrepreneurs deal with, especially in the first few years, especially during any transition as well. And we're all experiencing some kind of transition in some ways in the last couple of years. And also I want to speak to it because people don't talk about money enough, in my opinion. I think it's a really important topic that I used to avoid myself. And cash flow is actually the #1 reason businesses close. So generating consistent income is the one thing that can keep you going no matter what. Okay, so in this workshop, I'm going to share the 3 most important weekly habits to create consistent income. And we're going to look at some money mindset shifts to help you make more money. And I'm going to share some tips to help you prevent burnout as you grow your business, because those are all massive things: the mindset, the habits, and preventing burnout, because that's where people are afraid of going or are already in sometimes as well. And I'm seeing more and more of this right now, actually. So my intention with this workshop is that you're going to shift the way you see income and business and money to some degree. Y'all open to that? Okay, great. And you're going to leave with some practical steps, and you're going to feel inspired by what you hear and experience today. So for those of you who don't know my story, I started my first business in 2003, and I avoided finances and ended up filing bankruptcy a few years later. So, my business was coaching initially, and I also did professional organizing. And I avoided finances, and I did my bookkeeping. Actually, I had somebody else do my bookkeeping from the previous year in March of the next year. Like, I was completely in like avoidant. And so I learned the hard way that doesn't help, and the business, the marketing, and the sales are, what makes a business, because if you don't have those things in check, you have a hobby that's going to drain you, basically. And luckily, after those lessons, when I started doing business differently 10 years later, I was able to eventually make money with no debt and triple my income, and help. Now I help clients, increase their income, create strategies, align everything with their own vision, heart, values, all those things, so that things can move in a more fluid nature. So I'm not your typical business coach, because I definitely work for more intuition and clients' vision and intuition and a healing perspective on the journey. So, okay, so we're going to start with mindset. And then we'll move to habits. So, mindset first is really going to help you get your head around some of these concepts and think differently about income generation, so that you can think of, which habits, would work best for you. So the first thing is really aligning. So really getting clear on what you want. And, the vision is huge. Like, your vision of what is it you want, where do you want to go? And even deepening that question of, like, why do you want to go there? So right now, I want you to write down on a piece of paper, so this is a question I want you to answer. If all your needs and wants are met, what does your life look like? So just write down at least like 3 to 5 features of your life when you have this vision met of what you want to create. Okay, so now I want you to answer the question, why do you want it? So right after that, you have the thing that you want, and then why do you want it? And then answer the question, why is that important? What you just said, like answering the question of why is that important? And then answering the question of um, what would that give you? The last thing you answered, like what would that give you? Or what would your vision give you? And then two more. I'm like a toddler here, asking you questions. And then how would your life be different from now? And then the last one is, what would this give others? So how would, Catherine's asking a question, what do I mean by that? That means how would it impact others? Would it have more money for your family? Would it, give people more beauty in their lives? Would it help people transform their relationship with themselves? Or, what is the thing that the impact you'll have on other people? Okay. So when you think about that vision of what you want to create and like, everything's, all your needs are met and everything, what are some feeling words that come to mind or you actually feel in your body? Like when you feel into this this vision and the reasons why you want it and the impact it's going to make on your life and the lives of others, what are some feeling words that come up for you? Like what do you feel when you tune into that? You can put it in the chat. Peace, warmth, satisfaction. Beautiful. Spaciousness, connected, freedom, purpose, alignment. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Okay, so then the question is like, how committed? So creative, productive, focus, or some more? Those are great. Yes, yes, good stuff. So then the question is, how happy? Sorry, so I just put happy. Warmth, love, and happy from Susanna. Yes, okay, good. Thank you. So then the question is, how committed are you to creating that vision? So right now in your mind, you can say, okay, I am 100% committed to this vision. I'm 50% committed to this vision. Just notice your percentage. And, some of my mentors said this really amazing quote. They said, 100% committed is easy. 99% is a bitch. Because if you had just 99%, you had that 1% of I'm not sure, maybe, and I just talked to somebody who was a client lead for me who's not committed yet, and they want to be, but they're not quite there yet. And so I can't step into a coaching relationship with somebody until they're like, yes, I'm ready, because otherwise we'll be just dancing in circles. Okay, so I'm getting some 100% here. All right. So this means you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. Okay. Beautiful. You can declare it now wherever you're at, and you can just name it. If you're not 100%, it's okay. Working on it. Beautiful. Okay. 90 to 100, so we're close. All right. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And it's tricky because in some ways it's like easier to be committed once you have a plan, but to commit without a solid plan is really tricky, All right, so 60%, 65%, 100%, not 100% because of other commitments. Okay, so not right now, but maybe eventually. Okay, I get that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but it doesn't mean you have to spend 100% of your time doing this. It just means you committed to it, less than 100% sometimes. And yeah, some major falls in the last couple of years. Yeah, that's not uncommon either. Sure. Yeah. Having to pivot, and then experimentation constantly, innovation. Absolutely. Not alone in that. Okay. So to become the person that you need to be to step into the vision, it's about growth and stretching into the more of yourself. So getting stuff out of the way and removing stuff that's not really the version of you that can meet your potential. So being willing to learn and grow outside your comfort zone. And I would say, because all of you do amazing things and you have confidence in what you do, what you offer, and you chose what you do because you believe in it and are naturally good at it. So the places I would challenge you to grow outside your comfort zone and to be willing to are the money, financial relationship, the marketing, the sales, those kind of things. And those things are like a constant learning curve for everybody, especially these days, especially the marketing part, because it's hard to get anybody's attention, and so you have to be really refined with that process. Okay, so being open to growth, basically, stretching yourself. And then this is a perception on value that I want to bring. So far we've covered vision, commitment, growth or stretching into areas you're uncomfortable with. And I want to speak to that one more thing. So a lot of times people, especially in holistic and artistic fields, will spend a ton of time and energy learning their modalities, and they'll learn like a billion, but they won't put energy and time and money into marketing, sales, and money. And that's where, that's what I did too. And that's why I do what I do. So I'm offering a place for that, Another mindset shift is to focus on value that you're giving, the value that you're bringing to what you're doing, and then focusing on not money exactly, ironically, but focusing on the value that you bring to people and how can you increase that value for people. And sometimes that means asking them what they want, asking them what they value the most. This value piece also means owning your value and pricing your work for what it's worth and pricing it for profit in your business. So these are all practices, but they're really a mindset first. I'm just naming these as mindset shifts. And that also is like feeling confident in the value that you're bringing and the prices that you offer them at. Okay, so the next one is massive. And this is something that's it's not easy, it's hard to get your head around if you're a new business because you want to make money fast and you want to move quickly, but it's really having a long-term view. So it's seeing business as a long game. And so that means making choices that are best for your business in the long term, not just the short-term gains. This also means interacting with people and potential clients as if it's a long game, not a short game. I've had people come to me for coaching who weren't ready before, and I've said they're not ready, and I didn't try to sell them something they weren't ready for, and they come back to me a year or two later, and they're ready. So that's what I mean by the long game, Or even when I had my jewelry business and people would come to me asking for something I didn't have, I would help them find what they wanted, like another jeweler or whatever, So that long-term relationship connection piece is huge. And this long-term thing is hard when you do feel disheartened, like when you have been posting like crazy on social media and nothing's happening, or you have been, trying different things after COVID hit because your business was hugely impacted because of in-person events and you don't know what to do. So that disheartened energy, it's really helps to see the long term, even though it's not easy to have that perspective. So I just want to honor that challenge in the short term sometimes, and really letting yourself get that long-term view and still holding your vision. Even though, there might be setbacks, there are always shifts and changes. Sometimes those are blessings you can't see either, of course. Okay. So the next one this is the last mindset shift, and we're going to connect this one back to vision as well. So this is about the burnout piece and not burning out. And so I've burned out in a few careers already. And so I want to, I've had a few people, more people than usual, contact me recently who are burnt out in their work. And I think that the last 2 years on top of crazy intense schedules, whatever, have just really pushed people over, and they're ready to create something new, innovate, and create new models of business for themselves that are more sustainable. So how not to burn out. So one of the main things is really diving into your vision to make sure that when you think about what that vision looks like on a daily basis, it's what you want and you get excited about it. I remember one time I had this business counselor 9 years ago or 10 years ago or something, who was talking about this guy who came to him and he wanted to make this certain salary and he wanted to have a coffee shop. And so they did some numbers and they're like, okay, if you want to have a coffee shop and you want to make this much money as a salary, then you need to invest this much and sell this many thousands of cups of coffee, So it really is a lot of times backing up to the numbers as well, and doing the breakdown of, making sure that what you think you're creating is actually what's happening on the ground. For example, with my jewelry business, I realized I didn't want to make hundreds of pieces of jewelry per month. And even when I was having people as contractors making stuff for me, it was too draining on me because I'm not like, my main things are, I really love to do. What feeds me is coaching and teaching and writing and being creative. And then maker is like below that, you know? So for me, it wasn't a full-time thing. It never was. Well, it was at the beginning, but then I shifted to coaching part-time, and I knew I wanted to evolve to coaching full-time. So yeah, Susanna said she misses my jewelry. I'm glad she got some. I'm glad you did too. Yeah, so yeah, so so this is like, so basically I'm tying this back into vision to really, challenge you to like meditate, contemplate, visualize, what your life looks like on a daily basis, in that vision. And then what kind of business does that translate to? How much leverage do you have in your business? How much passive income? Those kinds of things. Like where does it look like? What does it look like eventually, really? Do you have more than one source of income? Do you also invest in real estate? Do you also, I don't know, what is it? So really looking at where the value is for you in the lifestyle, in what you're giving and creating, and then, considering options of creating leverage and innovation in your business so that you can optimize your time and have more freedom. That's usually the thing that people don't think about until they're already hustling. So, okay, so that's the mindset stuff. Great. Okay, so now habits. So you ready for habits? Give me a little shaky do. Yeah, okay, great. All right. All right, so now that all these things are, and I encourage you, this is a lot of information. Like so many people tell me to teach, not people, but like a lot of the structures of webinars and stuff like that tell me to teach less, but these are the things I think are important. And you can always go back to these things and like dive into one that really resonates for you, that you really want to work on as far as a shift goes, Okay, so now habits. So now that we have these shifts in place for how to look at these things, let's look at habits. Okay, so the number one first habit I want to name here is about you and your relationship with money. So getting clear on your income, your expenses, and what your vision is for your money. So actually 4 things. It's clarity on your income. It's so tracking your income, tracking your expenses, knowing your profit, and then your projections and your vision. Is that 5 things? Yeah, I think that was 5 things. So it's basically your money relationship from the recent past, the current moment, the soon future, and then the distant future. Because money is a relationship, and so the longer you can commit to money, as far as like what you want to have eventually and what you want your money to look like eventually, I love using money as a manifesting and visioning tool to be able to see, okay, if I made 25% more, what would I do with that money? If I made 50% more, what would I do with that money? If my income was double, what would I do with that money? And it's like you're creating a container for it to come in, because it's like that Einstein quote, imagination is a preview of coming attractions. You're kind of loosening up the receiving energy that you have to allow it in, because you're creating a container and you're respecting it and you're honoring it. And you're like, okay, you might want to donate to some cause that you love. You might want to create another business. You might want to buy a house. You might, all these things, So what would you do with it? And then I even encourage you, so I'm on the vision part of the money here, because it's like where the juice is for me right now. I even encourage you to get clear on your numbers for that. Like, okay, if you want to buy a house, how much money do you need to make per year? And, what does that look like? Like, talk to a mortgage broker. So like, really getting clear on how much money you've made, what you've been receiving, and how much you're spending, projecting your future out at least 2 or 3 months, and then visioning long term at like 2 or 3 different levels of income that you could make. Super fun stuff. Yeah. it is actually. I sometimes still avoid like doing my QuickBooks because I track my spending so clearly that I know what's happening. So I don't always reconcile on everything every month. But I do a lot of visioning and a lot of tracking, like projections. And I always do my bookkeeping now. I used to not, but I do now. And then one part of this is also this clarity piece. This is an add-on habit to this first one here, which is creating an account called an overflow account. So because most businesses have fluctuations, having an account that you skim out. So if you make, so let's say your business needs to make $6,000 a month and you make $8,000 in December, you can take 2,000 off and put it in this overflow account. It depends on your business structure, what kind of account you want to put it into, but basically it's just really some kind of system to acknowledge that there is a variation in income some months. So when there is, if you move money to honor that and not spend it all immediately, then it's going to give you some space and flexibility. You can call it an overflow account or a fluctuating income account. Or it can just be a savings account, that you save a certain percentage of your income, like 10% at least, so that you can have that spaciousness. Okay. Okay. And okay, the next piece is, okay, this is huge. If you've never heard of this concept before, it's going to rock your world. You ready for this? Okay. So the next thing is something that's called an income generating activity, or an IGA. It's doing something to move the needle on your income. So it's not just like throwing stuff on social media or like, creating some content. It's actually making a sales outreach or creating a marketing strategy. It's stretching your skills in the areas where you feel like you need to stretch them the most. So it's moving toward income specifically. So income generating activities. And depending on your business, you could do 3 of these a week, 3 of these a day. But this is a habit that if your income is not where you want it to be, you want to add this in and make a list of like, what are some income generating activities that you can do? It could be teaching a class, it could be offering something, it could be creating a new product. It could be getting on a podcast. It could be asking somebody to co-teach with you. There's 1,000 different things or more probably that you could do. So income generating activities, that's a huge one. Pretty simple. So there it is. And then the next one, so this is a third habit. So the first one is all about money, relationship, tracking, and planning and visioning. And then the second one is income generation activities. And then the third one is systems. So, I'm studying James Clear's book, Atomic Habits right now and doing a book club on his book, and it's blowing my freaking mind. And, he talks about how goals are not the thing. Goals just get you set in the right direction, but systems are the things that get you where you want to go. So the systems are also about consistency. So people think what they need is intensity, like to spend $10,000 on a marketing thing, or some big radical thing they need to have in their business. But he says people think what they need is intensity, but what they really need is consistency. So systems are about consistency. So this is like, and then, so a lot of you probably have systems. If you're doing something tangible, you probably have a system. For if you're doing a healing practice, or you have something you're making, you have a system for like your production or your service, right? But if you don't have systems for business, for marketing, for finance, for sales, then that's where the focus can be put, because that's over half of your business until it's full. Until you're at maximum capacity, those things should be over half your business, over half your time spent. Okay. So we're going to do some Q&A. But before, I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to transition us into that. So so there's a question by Brene Brown that says, what is the narrative getting in the way of the skill set? So if there's a habit here that you feel resistance about, notice the narrative in your head of like, what is in your head? What are the voices saying up there that's keeping you from doing the thing? Like for me, with money, I was like, screw money. Like, I don't want to deal with it. I didn't respect it. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to deal with that. You know, I just was like totally resistant. And I had this whole numbers, math, programming hatred from school and everything. So I just was like ignoring it, and it bit me in the ass, you know? So what is the narrative in your head? If there's something here in the habits, and there's something like that you're not doing, and just notice the story there. Notice the narrative that's getting in the way of you doing the thing that can make an impact for you. And just write it down. Just that awareness is the first step toward moving that out, as you know. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to commit to one step. So we talked about a lot of mindset stuff. We talked about vision. We talked about commitment, growth, value, long-term perspective, and then really grounding the vision so you don't burn out. And then all the money habits, the income generating activities, and creating systems. So what is one thing that you're willing to do something about from these ideas? Like the thing that you want to go back to and write about even, or something you're willing to do in your life, in your business. Like you can put it in the chat, like what is something that you're like, okay, that's the one that stood out to me. That's the one that can make the biggest impact. And I encourage you to pick something that, you know, that wouldn't have happened unless you came to this workshop today. So something that is like, you know, either something that you've been putting off that now you feel ready to do, or something that you hadn't thought of that would really shift things for you. Okay, so Eco says income generating activities will make the biggest difference. Absolutely, yes, great, yeah. And what you can do is create like a master list of those, you know, just so you have them, you can just go to them and commit to a certain amount per week. And even you can even create like a really brilliant like paper or not paper tracking system, you know, so that can be fun. Yeah, so reorienting to IGAs, been focused on, yeah, okay, so instead of just sharing information, actually focus on IGAs, great. Systems work on relationships with money and IGAs, great, okay, great. Okay, great. So, so this person has an unexpected income account or envelope, but creating an overflow account. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's good. Beautiful. Okay, these are great examples. Thank you for sharing. All right. Okay, so, all right. So how many of you are feeling like you had some aha moments? Any aha moments? Yeah, okay, good. Did you find some value in these concepts today? Yes, thank you. And do you feel inspired to go kick some butt? Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, great. Yes, definitely. Okay, good. Have you had some mindset shifts? Okay, great. And do you feel motivated to grow? You know, this shift, the income thing, you go thumbs up. Okay. And okay, great. I love this. Okay, so from here, you can take these concepts and go and apply them yourself, or you could work further with me if you're interested. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes now to share with you about my money program coming up, and then we're going to do Q&A. So my money program is all about, it's called a money makeover intensive program for creatives. And it's about breaking through your money limits to grow your business. It helps clear blocks. It helps create, you know, deprogram old stories, helps you know your worth and create a new level of trust with your relationship with money. It's a 6-week virtual live program. So like it's me on the Zoom with you all just like this live, and you get recordings too. This is the last time I plan to offer it live because I'm planning to record it and do it as a product. And this is a money makeover from the inside out. And you will help claim new beliefs and release old ones and create new habits. And you will connect with a like-minded community of creatives and you'll have support with them in the community in between. And this is priceless. People create relationships in these programs that go on beyond the program. So, you know, you're going to see testimonials on this page I'm going to give you if you want to go check it out. And this is an investment in your money relationship and your business. And for a lot of people, it's a turning point in their business. And I've even had people come to me years later and say, that was a turning point. Now I'm making X amount of money, which is way, way more than they were making before. So, and this right now, there's like 3 bonuses there. There's a, the money mindset, sorry, the Atomic Habits book club is a bonus, and that's going to be live as well. And there are 2 other videos you get as well. And I'm going to send you a coupon. So I'm going to send you the video from this. And I'm going to send you a 25% off coupon for the program. And there are also payments. You can make payment plan. So if this resonates for you, please join this group. It can really shift the way and help you, give you some time to ground these concepts and to actually create what you want to create. And I'd love to support you in that. So I'm going to send you an email with all that information. And I am open to having questions or any shares you want to have around what happened today for you in this experience. So please, you can verbally ask questions. So if you just unmute yourself and jump in. Or even insights, it doesn't have to be a question. It can be something you want to share. Susanna, did you have something?
Well, I do. I just really appreciate this session. And yeah, it's really hitting home. So I'm going to think about it hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to join you, and I'll just see if it's possible.
Good, good. I hope it is.
Yeah.
And there's also the way to look at it of like, what's the price of not doing the program too?
You're right. You're right.
You really consider that because you've been talking about it for a while. So
I
would
have.
love to have you in it. I think it'd be really powerful for you to experience it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for being here and sharing. Okay. What else? What else you got to share? I'm also curious, like what came to your minds when I shared about IGAs? Because I'm always looking for more examples of those. So if you had some of those that came to mind, I think that would be amazing to share because other people might get inspired too. So I'd love to hear those. Yeah, Marshall, go ahead.
I'm guessing like sending out a newsletter would be an IGA if you list some things that you're offering, some offerings.
Yep.
Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and even if you created a plan to have like, okay, I'm going to send out 2 newsletters and then 1 that is an offering, you know, it's like that, those are all marketing really. And eventually you want to have a call to action though, where it is like, here's this thing you can buy now, or it's on sale or whatever, so that there's a clear call to action for people to do something. Like, what do they do, you know? So that's great. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What about reaching out individually to former clients? Would that be okay?
Yeah, Catherine.
Something I've also thought about is actually I need to make product. I mean, I need to make offerings and digital things and stuff like that. But then I thought, well, you know, if you do make something that's kind of high priced and your customers are not willing to pay that price, then you can also offer a down sale of something of a little less value that they would still also get a lot of value out of, but they wouldn't have to shell out so much money.
Absolutely.
So that was something that I've been tossing around too. And another thing I have is this little note backed up on my computer. It says, "What have you done today to make money?"
Yes.
And it's right there on my computer, so I have to see it all the time. And it's like, oh, I forgot to make any money today.
That's not uncommon, you know. So I think I have that posted too. I don't know if we got that at the same
Maybe I
time.
got that from you.
I think you might have, because it's in my office too. Yeah, good. Yeah. So that's a great question,
Yeah.
because we get so caught up in the admin and miscellaneous and like social media vortexes
Right.
that we don't actually think about making money. And that
Yeah.
first thing you said about the different price
Downselling?
points, the different price points, that's a strategy for sales, basically.
Sure.
That you have these different levels of your sort of funnel that people are coming into, yeah, beautiful.
Cool.
Thank you.
It's been interesting today. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay. Iko, Jamie, Ishka, Donna, anything else you want to share or ask?
One of the things that's been coming up for me, one is that I love to go really deeply with people, and in the offerings that I've been putting out recently have kind of basically fallen flat, in inviting people to like delve into discovering what their deepest desires are, becoming congruent with it, and being able to share what those are with other people. And something that's come up for me is like, maybe I'm inviting them to go to the bottom of the ocean with me when they're uncomfortable snorkeling on the surface, or maybe staying on the shore being like, I'm not sure I even want to go into the water at all. And I've been challenged at being able to find more of a surface level issue to go and draw people in.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I saw that post on your Facebook, and I think that's an important question to be in. And I would start with the problems you're solving for people or the benefits you're giving them with your work. And that might take interviewing people, thinking about your ideal clients and saying, okay, what problems did this work solve for you? Or even asking, when you have people come to you to work with you, asking them questions and using their words from there, to like for their problems or their desires, and then create something simple about one of those things, solving so like today, inconsistent income is a big deal for most entrepreneurs. And I just thought of it this week. It was like, okay, like, let's talk about that. Because I've talked about money mindset for like years, and I wanted to shift it, but make it also about money. And ultimately, my goal here is to find people who want to enroll my 6-week program or work with me further through my long-term 12-month program, which is coming out soon, or as private clients. But I'm here being present with people and giving them value that is deepening in some ways. But see, I didn't give you like, but see, the thing is, like, all my clients are also about transformation, but I don't use that word. Like, everybody I know who's worked with me is all about growth and spirituality and, some version, and creativity. Like, those are all very right brain kinds of things and experiences. But a lot of my marketing is left brain, because people need that like practical bite into like make more money thing for motivation, because that's the problem they see, or the desire that they want. Is that helpful, Iko?
Yeah, it is. And one of the things that I have also noticed just became aware of consciously earlier this week, is that there's a kind of disconnect between what I want to be able to say the results of my work is, of being able to create a thriving love life, being able to go and attract more clients, versus what I've seen and experienced with my clients and what they've told me, which is like releasing anxiety, fears, no longer being depressed. And maybe I just need to, for right now, let go of what I think I want the results to actually be, and just say,
yes,
here are the results that my clients have actually gotten. Is this something valid that you actually want to go and get? And just be like,
yes,
it's not what I'm really about, but it's like, this is what people are getting, so do I have to go for that?
And the thing is, like, all those other things can come once they get through that first doorway. It's hard. It's like when people say they want joy, but they're in shame. you can't get from the shame to joy because immediately, because it's like this huge leap. But you can go from shame to relief or peace. And then eventually you get to joy, you know? So it's like you're going to meet people where they are. And, you know, a lot of times that's just like, what's the next step for them where they are? And, you know, like I have different classes about different things. And so I'm just sometimes like throwing it out there to see what people respond to. And sometimes I'm like, why didn't more people respond to this workshop, you know? And then the next time they do respond to that one. So it's always an experimentation. That's true for everybody. So don't beat yourself up about that because you're learning. And I love your awareness and your willingness to be open and to your commitment to serve people. You know, it's important work.
Thank
Glad
you.
you're here. Okay. Jamie, what's happening for you, girl?
Oh, all kinds of things are happening over here.
So,
I was relating to, is it eco? I was relating to that, like that feeling of like being at the bottom of the, you know, doing the deep diving work and trying to come
yes.
up to the surface and be able to communicate what it is that I do. So I really resonated and benefited from that talk you all just had.
Good.
And then I think for me, you know, I'm realizing on the call, one of my ha-has is like, oh yeah, I've been in survival mode the last year. Like I really pulled back from like a lot of the business growth, like engagement that I was doing. And I've just been sort of like, I need to get through this week or this month or whatever, or just this set of clients that I have now. Like I haven't really been in a growth or thriving space.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to get through. So I'm like, oh, I feel really far away from some of these practices that I used to be closer to. And I'm realizing that that's where I need to put some focus. And I'm also aware of my narrative. Like the narrative has been like, I just don't have enough time. I just don't have resources. Like I just need to get through. So trying to find like you were just saying, like get to like what's relief there, you know, like get to the next step to start making shifts again. Cause it's kind of been, I've been in this place a while.
There's two things that come up. Can I share them?
Yeah, please.
One is the long game. So thinking about the long game and trusting it's going to be there to have a long game. And the other is to ask the question, what is the most important thing I can do today in the time I have?
Yeah.
Because sometimes that one thing, one outreach to a lead, you know, or having intuition about a client and reaching out to them, or those kinds of things can make a huge impact. Because like that's a new client, that's like how a chunk of change, you know, and a huge impact on them, and they're just thinking about you maybe, you know, and so it's like you just bridge that gap. So that's a question that I would write up somewhere and just ask that question, like even in your phone every day or wherever calendar. I think you probably use a paper calendar, don't you? Yeah, you seem like one of those types.
Not only do I have one, but I make one every
That's
year.
right. I remember that. Totally.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you know, because you do astrology, like leveraging that, you know, like I know you probably do, but like this week, oh my freaking God, the energy is so palpable of like this forward movement and opening.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing it everywhere, you know? So, you know, harnessing the tools that you do have, because that's a lot,
Right.
and asking like, what is one thing I can do in the 10 minutes I have today on the toilet with my phone? Sorry. but no, I mean, that's kind of reality sometimes, right? So like really asking like, what is the thing I can do, you know?
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Any more burning questions? We're going to finish up here. Okay. So somebody's been in survival mode too for the past several months. Yeah. And it's hard to have a longer vision. It is when you're in survival mode. So then it's the question of what can I do to get out of survival mode to optimize what I need right now? And it may be a B job. I've been there, done that. And maybe doing something to get cash flow to get out of survival mode, because it's really hard to manifest and think long term and to get things moving when you're in survival mode. So like, how can you, asking the question, how can I take care of my animal self and generate enough income to get out of survival mode, or whatever it is you need, you know, health or whatever. And just really trusting that your resource will be there for you. And then asking if it's somewhere that I can't see, where would I look for it? And then just focusing on making the most of what you have and doing with it what you can from where you're at. That's all you can do. Yeah, it's been a rough couple of years. So thank you all for showing up for this. Thank you for showing up for yourselves, for your business, for this community. And I'm going to send you an email with the recording and the link to the program and the bonus code. And my pleasure. You're welcome. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy. Let me know how it goes.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.